Has been havoc. In fact, if I could add as my opening statement here, condolences to the family of the one lady, a 35-year-old IT employee who's died in Bengaluru city owing to a wall collapse after this heavy downpour. I'm going to take you through some images that's brought Bengaluru to its knees. It's not even monsoons yet, and here we're looking at Bengaluru coming to an absolute standstill. Work from home has now been advised for IT employees largely, and mostly all sectors have been advised to stay at home and work if not absolutely necessary. Schools have now also moved classes online. A yellow alert has currently come into effect, and one can only imagine, this is not even monsoons, what would happen in Bengaluru, Karnataka's capital, the IT city, when monsoons actually hit. This is pre-monsoon rains. I wouldn't even call it showers anymore. And here's the wreckage. Bengaluru Rains that has completely exposed its poor, dilapidated infrastructure. In fact, Bengaluru woke up to this image, right? The start of the day, one of the heaviest spells of rain this year, a late night thunderstorm that unleashed chaos, uprooting several trees, flooding tech parks, paralyzing morning traffic entirely. The downpour was packed with strong winds, we hear, knocked down several trees, as I did show you, especially around Cubbon Park, where branches carpeted the entire road, blocked vehicular movement as well. Of course, it was cleared out quickly, but the damage was done. Major junctions across north and east Bengaluru resembled rivers. Waterlogging crippled peak hour traffic. One bout of rain and Bengaluru completely stops. Traffic moves at a snail's pace, even maybe slower, forcing emergency teams, BBMP personnel, all to wade through that debris. Even if they want to get and attend to an emergency situation, it's tough for the same rescue and relief officials. Now, the Silk Board Metro stretch bore the brunt, completely inundated, choking one of the city's busiest transit points, turning its arterial roads into streams. Here's what DK Shivkumar, the Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, had to say.
We had more than 210 important points which has to be cleared. After I took over as the Bengaluru City Minister, I think almost 62 places we have just cleared. Still 42 places are there. In that, 20 we have been still left. 24 has been on the cards. We are just taking up. We know the concern of the Bangalore and the importance of Bangalore. We will sort out all the problems. We are there. My entire team is on the foot, all the places. They are working hard.
All right, when we're looking at the administration fighting through these tense situations, very tragic news that's coming to light. One lady, a 35-year-old IT employee in Mahadevpura zone, has died after a compound wall in that software company collapsed. In fact, this is some exclusive image that we've managed to procure. This is the wall that's collapsed while the lady was inside. She seems to be part of the admin team of that IT company, and she was inside when the rains hit and an entire wall collapsed of that software company. Now, the building reportedly had no clearance for 7 stories to be constructed. In fact, it had clearance only for four floors. They went on to construct another additional 3 floors, a glaring violation there, I would say, of the building laws. And more importantly, the question here is who gave clearances? How was there no check or actual inspection by the authorities? Very same civic body who gave this building a clearance to build 4 floors. When the building construction was happening, why did they not check that this was an absolute violation? And here you have one life gone.
Right now we've come across the sad news that one person has died. We're getting more information, but the situation with regards to we expecting more casualties is something very grim. I hope that we don't find any more casualties like this. But yes, the wall collapse at that particular place was the reason why this thing has happened.
Grim reminder of the city's neglected lakes. We saw Bengaluru toxic foam that was back. Let me take you through some of the images. Nearly a decade since it last formed. In fact, we saw foaming that happened right in the surface of the lake. Now, much after a decade, we're looking at similar scenes that's been witnessed. Literally froth on the roads. Experts blame unchecked chemical dumping and civic negligence there.
What I'm going to show you is something that the city is seeing after 10 years. Yes, you're right. The froth that is getting accumulated here at this particular spot at the Bengaluru lake is something that has come back again after 10 years. We had seen this 10 years back, huge clouds of froth flying across Bengaluru lake, and since then we had not seen it accumulate. But right now we are seeing it again accumulate at this very spot after 10 years, and this is after 2 days of heavy rainfall, and all because of the chemical that is flowing. The current place where I am is the Yamlur Bridge, which is the connecting point from the water that surfaces from the Bengaluru lake and then connects to the Vartur lake. And this very spot had caught fire 10 years back, and the same froth had caught fire 10 years back. And now again you're seeing this after 10 years. So it gives you a sign that some things don't change. Let me speak to Manju. He's an activist who's been working here for quite some time. Manju, 10 years back we had seen this. Yes, now we are seeing it again. What does this mean?
So it's really too bad, and we are very sad because we are the residents of this lake, this village. After 10 years, we thought complete our picture will be changed in the lake. But this fog, what we are seeing is completely, it's a chemical, because across this lake, so many factories and so many apartments are there.
All right, imagine this is Bengaluru before monsoons have even begun. I can only imagine what lies ahead there. All right, taking you through now, India being on high alert. We're looking at major checks across the country post the India-Pakistan conflict. Now, in a major terror plot that was foiled in Hyderabad, 2 men suspected of planning blasts in the city of Hyderabad have been arrested. In fact, the Telangana police, along with the Andhra police, came together on a tip-off and carried out this arrest of this very person that you see on our screens there. 2 people have been arrested. In fact, the arrest is of Siraj-ur-Rahman from Vizianagaram. His interrogation led to the arrest of another, Syed Sameer, in Hyderabad. Police say that both these men have suspected links to an ISIS module operating out of Saudi Arabia. From their premises, authorities recovered explosive materials including ammonia, sulfur, aluminium powder, substances that are often used in improvised explosive devices. The 2 accused are now in custody and will be produced before court soon. Police are currently probing deeper into their network and possible connections on whose word have they come in, where they're staying, how long have they been here, what has been their target, and what really are the organizations backing him, if at all, or are they lone wolves? Now, all this has to be established. This foiled terror attempt comes days after the Pahalgam terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir, amid centers alert to states over potential activation of sleeper cells. Officials are now urging the public to stay alert, report any suspicious activity as investigations deepen. All right, now while we're looking at the aftermath of the India-Pakistan conflict, a lot more revelations now unfold. Shocking information now emerges of Pakistan attempting an aerial attack on India's Amritsar on the 8th of May, with the Golden Temple allegedly as the primary target. According to Major General Kartik C. Sheshadri, General Officer Commanding of the Indian Army's 15th Infantry Division, the attack involved drones and long-range missiles. The information that we have is that the attack has involved long-range missiles that were launched from across the border and drones simultaneously. The Indian Army's air defense units acted quite swiftly and decisively, successfully neutralizing all incoming threats, ensuring that the revered Golden Temple remained completely unharmed.
8 मई की सुबह को अंधेरे में पाक ने अनुमान अनुसार ड्रोन और मिसाइल के जरिए से सभी सैन्य एवं सिविल ठिकानों पे और खास तौर पे गोल्डन टेम्पल पे भारी तादाद से ड्रोन का हमला किया। क्योंकि हम इसके लिए तैयार थे, तो भारतीय सेना के आर्मी एयर डिफेंस के सतर्क और सशक्त योद्धाओं ने पाकिस्तान के नापाक इरादों को पूरी तरीके से ध्वस्त करते हुए ड्रोन और मिसाइल हमले को पूरी तरह से विफल कर दिया और हमने गोल्डन टेम्पल पे एक आंच भी नहीं आने दी।
All right, now India taking back its waters as it rightfully has always been ours, but the treaty almost stopped India from reclaiming what was rightfully ours. The Indus Water Treaty suspension is indeed historic. These are also words of Union Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who minced no words while he spoke about it. Slamming the Nehru-era diplomacy, Agricultural Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has said the 1960 Indus Water Treaty that gave away 80% of India's river water to Pakistan was unjust. It should have been corrected long ago, but better late than never. The rivers originated in India, yet we gave them the water and the money. Shivraj Singh Chauhan calls the latest move of the Indian government of keeping the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance as a bold correction.
दोनों बगलिहार एक परियोजना है जिससे पाकिस्तान गाद नहीं निकालने दे रहा था हमें। गाद अब समझते हैं, जो मिट्टी जमा हो जाती, बांध भर जाते हैं, इसी समझौते का बहाना बना के। लेकिन अब सलाल बांध और बगलिहार बांध दोनों से पानी निकाल के हमने गाद निकालने का काम शुरू कर दिया, क्योंकि बगलिहार बांध की प्रारंभिक संग्रहण क्षमता थी 428, जो 245 रह गई थी, और सलाल बांध की प्रारंभिक संग्रहण की क्षमता पानी की थी 285 एमसीएम, जो घट के 14 एमसीएम रह गई। तब पाक धारदागिरी करता था, सिंधु जल समझौता है, गाद भी नहीं निकालने देंगे। अब गाद तो क्या, एक बूंद नहीं छोड़ेंगे, गाद भी निकलेगी, पानी भी निकलेगी। हमारा पानी हमने पाकिस्तान को दिया, और आपको यह भी बताना चाहता हूं, केवल पानी नहीं दिया, पानी के साथ साथ पैसा भी दे दिया। उस समय दिए गए 83 करोड़ रुपया, जिसकी वर्तमान में कीमत है 5,500 करोड़। पानी भी दिया और पैसा भी दिया तुमने। और पैसा इसलिए दिया कि वहां बना लो नहरें, जल संरचना है, ले जाओ पानी। ये कैसी दरिया दिली थी, अपने देश के किसानों का पेट काट के हम उनको पानी दे रहे हैं जो आतंकियों को पैदा करने के लिए जवाबदार है।
Now, it appears this correction that Shivraj Singh Chauhan referred to appears to have already shown results. For decades, India watched its waters flow across the border, the Chenab, Jhelum and Indus. Even as its farmers, our own farmers in Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab struggled through the drought situation, India lived up to its bargain, honoring the treaty. Now that has begun to change. After the Pahalgam terror attack, India has put the Indus Waters Treaty now on hold. Flow from Salal and Baglihar dams have cut down. Chenab's waters have been redirected to Indian fields. Maintenance work on key dams have helped reduce outflow to Pakistan by up to 90%. The Ranbir Canal, once underutilized, is now being upgraded to divert more water to India and areas across Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab. From 40 cubic meters earlier, it's now risen to 150 cubic meters per second that India will receive. Hydropower projects like the Pakaldul, Kiru and Ratal are all being pushed to full throttle now. For the first time, India is inching closer to utilizing its full legal share of western rivers. Farmers say this was long overdue. Strategically too, we're looking at India now tightening the screws. Water that was once a goodwill gesture is now a sovereign asset, one that will irrigate Indian fields and not light up Pakistani cities. And as for Pakistan's protest, well, India has reiterated this message on possibly every platform. Stop terror and then let's talk. Now, days after handing Pakistan a 1 billion bailout, the IMF has put some certain stringent conditions to Pakistan. They've imposed 11 new conditions for the release of the next tranche, tightening the screws on Islamabad's fragile economy. Key demands including passing a 17.6 trillion federal budget, reforming agricultural income taxes, adjusting electricity and gas tariffs, and phasing out incentives for special technology zones. Additional mandates require governance reforms, inflation-linked cash transfer adjustments, used car import regulations, and publishing a long-term financial sector strategy post-2027. Now, key deadlines range from May 2025 to 2035, with sweeping overhauls across governance, finance, trade, and power sectors. The conditions also now pushes Pakistan to improve transparency, enhance taxpayer compliance, and shift industrial energy use to the national grid. Non-compliance could put critical financial assistance that they've been given by the IMF at risk. The IMF staff level report has released, was released in fact a day ago, flagged growing India-Pakistan tensions as a significant external risk to the program's success. If hostilities worsen, it warned the fiscal and reform targets could be derailed. Despite the military flare-ups, market reaction in Pakistan has been limited. The stock market held steady, spreads widened only moderately there. This is the 24th time that Pakistan has needed a bailout since 1958. It is a defaulter state. Time and again has proven it hasn't in fact lived up to its side of the bargain. Debt is only mounting in Pakistan, yet IMF believes it's a country that needs help, has given a 1 billion bailout. But after India's pressure and push, it appears IMF now has come around to put these 11 conditions, predominantly what I outlined. All right, now politics is playing out over Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar's statement that India had informed Pakistan about Operation Sindoor, and it appears Rahul Gandhi seems to be stepping up the heat against him. Congress leader and MP Rahul Gandhi again questioned S. Jaishankar over his remark on Operation Sindoor, asking how many Indian aircrafts were lost during the operation. Basically to say that if you have made Pakistan aware of Operation Sindoor, then you should also tell us how many were those Indian aircrafts that were shot down by Pakistan. Were there any at all? Now, to understand the context, let's listen in to first what S. Jaishankar had said.
Once they got hit as badly as they did on the morning of May 10th, and all of you have seen the, today the satellite pictures which actually bring out very graphically how much damage we did. By the way, the satellite pictures also bring out how little damage they did. So these pictures, I think, will tell you what a hit they took. And the same people who are not willing to stand down on 7th May were willing to talk and stand down on the 10th of May. It is very clear who wanted the cessation of firing.
Now, the opposition, of course, was quick to interpret the foreign minister's statement for what Rahul Gandhi has said as criminally, saying that this was not right for India to make Pakistan aware of Operation Sindoor. Rahul Gandhi broke his silence and asked S. Jaishankar how many aircrafts did IAF lose in combat. That was his retort. He posed two straight questions to External Affairs Minister. One is, informing Pakistan at the start of our attack was a crime. External Affairs Minister has publicly admitted that Government of India did it. Who authorized it? And second, how many aircrafts did our Air Force lose as a result? Now, Congress spokesperson Pawan Khera today again asking why did the Foreign Minister tell Pakistan about Operation Sindoor? Asking if this is really called diplomacy. This is spying, this is treason, this is crime. Khera speaks.
कि कैसे जयशंकर जी खुद प्रेस एजेंसीज को सामने बैठाकर और खुद बता रहे हैं कि हमने पाकिस्तान के आतंकी ठिकानों पर हमला करने से पहले पाकिस्तान को सूचित कर दिया था। अब ये सूचित करने का क्या मतलब होता है? इतना भरोसा है आपको आतंकियों पर कि आप सूचित कर देंगे और वो वहीं रहेंगे? या वो चुपचाप बैठेंगे?
Now, earlier, DGMO2 had clarified its stand on what transpired, but for the opposition here, it seems like questions, of course, being raised, and they want, rather demand, answers. I'm going to take you through BJP reacting on these questions by the opposition.
राहुल गांधी जी के बयान की बात नहीं करता, उनके बाकी जो लीडर्स हैं, अपोजिशन के कई लीडर जो बार बार देश की फौज के ऊपर जो प्रश्न चिन्ह लगा रहे हैं साहब, मेरा उनसे इसलिए मैं निवेदन करूंगा माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से, ऐसे जो लीडर हैं और खासतौर पे हमारे पंजाब के भी कई लोग ऐसे, हमारे नजर बट्टू हमारे पास भी हैं, उन सारों का एक डेलीगेशन बना के जहां दूसरे देश के मुल्कों में भेजा जा रहा है, वहीं पे एक पाकिस्तान मौलाना मसूद के घर पे जरूर भेजा जाए। हाँ जी, हाँ, इन लोगों को, ये जो लोग सवाल उठा रहे हैं, उन लोगों को भेजा जाए, वो वहां पे जाके वो शोक के अंदर शामिल होंगे तो उनको पता लग जाएगा कि मौलाना मसूद का परिवार या उनका भाई कैसे मारा गया। जो आज मरा है आतंकी, उसके घर पे भी इनको भेजना चाहिए।
Of our adversary, and even though we did attempt to reach out and communicate our compulsions to strike at the heart of terror to my counterpart in the immediate wake of Operation Sindoor, the request was brusquely turned down, with an intimation that a severe response was inevitable and in the offing. We were, of course, prepared.
All right, now we're looking at India consciously boycotting all Turkish goods, and that seemed to have been a boon for local production. In fact, Kashmiri apples seem to be high in demand, as it's got that much expected boost in its demand. We're looking at now traders ramping up to sell the best of Kashmiri apples across India. The move is welcomed by local growers and traders. It's likely to increase both demand and prices for Kashmiri apples now in the domestic market. Speaking to News 9, Bashir Ahmed from the Kashmir Fruit Traders Association has said this decision will directly benefit local Kashmiri farmers, especially in the region where nearly 75% of the population depend on agriculture and horticulture.
अभी हमारे साथ जम्मू कश्मीर के इस व्यवसाय यानी एप्पल इंडस्ट्री, फ्रूट इंडस्ट्री के प्रेसिडेंट हैं बशीर अहमद साहब। सर, आप ये बताइए, तुर्क का जो विशेषकर हम कहें फ्रूट जो है अब बैन होने वाला है, हो भी गया है, तो किस तरीके से कश्मीर के एप्पल विशेषकर अगर हम कहें जो कि आर्थिक रीढ़ की हड्डी मानी जाती है कश्मीर की, किस तरीके से लाभ होगा उसमें?
इसमें मेरी यही अर्ज है कि जो जैसे कि हमारे बाकी देशों से इंडियन मार्केट में कई सालों से माल आता था, इंडियन मार्केट में पहले वही बिकता था, फिर हमारा माल बिकता था, तो लिहाजा जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने या वहाँ इंडियन ट्रेड बॉडीज़ ने अगर वहाँ एप्पल या बाकी प्रोडक्ट पर बैन लगाए तो ये कश्मीर की जो हॉर्टिकल्चर सेक्टर के लिए अच्छा कदम है।
तो आपको लगता है कि जिस तरीके का एक कदम उठाया गया है, इससे जो यहाँ पे एग्रीकल्चर हॉर्टिकल्चर रीढ़ की हड्डी जो कश्मीर की मानी जाती है टूरिज्म के साथ साथ, क्या आपको लगता है कि वो किसान जो है इस कदम से काफ़ी लाभ उठाएंगे?
बिल्कुल खुश है हम, क्योंकि जब हमें हमारी मार्केट में डिमांड होगी एप्पल की अच्छी खासी और फिर हमें रेट्स भी अच्छे मिलते हैं।
आपकी काफ़ी समय से डिमांड थी कि इंपोर्ट जो ड्यूटी है वो बढ़नी चाहिए।
बिल्कुल, ये हमारी बहुत अच्छे से डिमांड है कि जो भी बाहर से आता है, चाहे वाशिंगटन एप्पल हो, चाहे न्यूजीलैंड का हो, चाहे ऑस्ट्रेलिया का हो या किसी और देश का, पहले हमारे पास अच्छी खासी प्रोडक्शन है, और अगर वो ये जब बाहर का माल आता है उसकी वजह से कश्मीर फ्रूट इंडस्ट्री और हिमाचल की और क्या कहते हैं उत्तराखंड की फ्रूट इंडस्ट्री हर्ट होती है, मुतासिर होती है, इसमें बहुत इफेक्ट पड़ता है।
टर्की के बाद ये बैन जो है, प्रतिबंध जो है बढ़ाना चाहिए, जैसे ईरान भी है, बाकी सब मुल्क जिनका जो कह सकते हैं प्रोडक्ट,
जैसे मैंने पहले अर्ज किया कि सब पर होना चाहिए। किसी भी मुल्क का हमें सबसे ज़्यादा हर्ट करता है वाशिंगटन एप्पल। अगर उसमें इम्पोर्ट ड्यूटी कम की गई गवर्नमेंट ने तो वो सस्ता पहुंचेगा इंडियन मार्केट में, क्योंकि वहाँ उनको बहुत बड़े इंसेंटिव्स मिलते हैं वहाँ के। आप कहेंगे वाशिंगटन एप्पल यहाँ अगर आएगा तो हमें कैसे इसमें हर्ट करेगी ये इंडस्ट्री को, क्योंकि वहाँ गवर्नमेंट वहाँ उनको बड़े इंसेंटिव्स देते हैं वहाँ के फ्रूट ग्रोवर्स को।
Alright. An associate professor and head of political science department at the Ashoka University in Haryana, Sonipat, Ali Khan Mahmoodabad, has been arrested by the Haryana police after he put out a post on social media related to Operation Sindoor, in a way slamming the right-wing people on social media largely, saying, why are you applauding Col Sofia Qureshi? while the same people are otherwise silent on mob lynching cases targeting the minorities. More or less, these are the words he had put out on his social platforms, and it appears he was arrested post a complaint that was filed by a BJP youth wing member. The professor's arrest comes days after the Haryana State Commission of Women also issued a show cause notice raising concerns over that very social media post. Let's listen in.
मेरे हरियाणा की उसमें दायरे में अगर कोई आएगा तो अगर उसने किसी बेटी का अपमान किया है मैं एक्शन लूंगी। बॉर्डर से चंद ही किलोमीटर दूर बैठकर ये व्यक्ति ये फ्रेम कर रहा है किस समय, जब ऑपरेशन सिंदूर चल रहा है, जब हम सब आपके मीडिया को शाम को देखने के लिए उत्सुक हैं, बैठे हैं कि कब शाम को व्योमिका सिंह आएंगी, कब कर्नल कुरैशी आएंगी और वो हमें बताएंगी कि आज युद्ध में क्या हुआ, तब आप उन बेटियों के लिए ऐसे बोल रहे हैं।
Right, so outlining again what he said in his post, he questioned the applause from right-wing supporters for Col Sofia Qureshi. He went on to say that the same people should also advocate for victims of mob lynchings and the arbitrary demolition of homes. Now, Mahmoodabad's arrest has sparked an online debate, many condemning this move of arresting him. In fact, the opposition has condemned this, raising questions on free speech. Several leaders, academics have voiced their support for the professor. Meanwhile, the Jawaharlal Nehru University Teachers Association has condemned the arrest vehemently of this Ashoka University professor. They've demanded his immediate release. In a statement, JNUTU has said, and I quote, the JNUTA expresses its outrage at the wholly unwarranted arrest by the Haryana police of Dr. Khan. This arrest, purportedly on the basis of a complaint by a leader of the ruling party, follows soon after the Haryana State Commission for Women acted way beyond its jurisdiction in taking suo motu cognizance of some statements made by Professor Khan. Meanwhile, Ashoka University itself has distanced itself from Mahmoodabad's comments, stating that it was made in individual personal capacity. This does not represent the opinion of the institute on the whole. Professor Mahmoodabad has said that he will fight this. More importantly, he says that his comments were misinterpreted. Right, shifting our focus to a fresh flashpoint that's now emerged between the judiciary and the executive following remarks by Vice President Jagdeep Dhanker on the powers of the Supreme Court. Days after Dhanker accused the judiciary of trying to act like a super parliament, Chief Justice of India B.R. Gavai has responded, asserting that the Constitution of India alone is supreme. Speaking at a felicitation event in Mumbai, the CJI has said the three pillars of democracy, which is the judiciary, executive and the parliament, must function within the framework of the Constitution and in harmony with one another. Now, the Vice President Jagdeep Dhanker had earlier objected to the Supreme Court setting timelines for the President to pass bills or clear bills that were presented to them by the respective state governments, stating that the Constitution does not envision any authority above Parliament. Right, a quick look at what's happening in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israel will now control the entire Gaza Strip, despite growing international pressure over worsening humanitarian crisis in the region. Here's Israel's stance.
Israel has agreed to allow limited amounts of food into Gaza, easing a 2-month-old blockade that has brought the enclave to the brink of famine. But airstrikes killed at least 20 Palestinians overnight after Israel announced extensive ground operations. Casualties arrived at a hospital in Khan Yunis on Monday. Palestinian health officials say more than 500 people have been killed in attacks in the past 8 days, as Israel has stepped up its military campaign, bringing the toll of Palestinians killed in its ground and air war to more than 53,000. Israel has faced mounting international pressure over the blockade on humanitarian deliveries it imposed in March, shortly before it broke a 2-month-old ceasefire. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel aimed to take control of all of Gaza and prevent Hamas militants from looting aid shipments. Hamas has denied involvement in looting. This warehouse containing medical supplies for Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis was also hit. Hospital director Atif Al-Hout asked how long the world would remain silent.
Today, the stock of medical solutions for patients and the stock of solutions for kidney dialysis patients are being targeted. This quite simply means that kidney dialysis patients are being sentenced to death.
Separately, residents and medics said an Israeli undercover unit who disguised themselves as displaced people killed a militant leader in a raid in the south. Residents said the commander, Ahmad Sarhan, crashed with the force before he was killed, and that the Israelis detained his wife and children before retreating in a bus under cover of fire from the air. Israel's military has announced a campaign dubbed Operation Gideon's Chariots, seeking to eliminate Hamas's military and governing capabilities and bring back the remaining hostages it holds. Senior Hamas official Sami Abu Zuhri said the escalating offensive would put the lives of the hostages at risk, and both sides reported no progress in a new round of indirect talks between Israel and Hamas in Qatar.
All right, on that note, I'm going to slip into a short break, but before that, let me take you through some good news for the men who are watching. It's often said that diamonds are girls' best friend, but this time, De Beers has also taken men into the fold, launching a unique Love from Dad collection. My colleague Sakshi has spoken to Amit Pratihari, the MD of De Beers, on this unique initiative on changing preferences of customers when it comes to diamond jewelry these days. Let's hear it.
I have with me Mr. Amit Pratihari, the MD of De Beers. I'm really excited to know more about this unique initiative of yours, the Love from Dad campaign. Please tell us more about it.
Love from Dad collection is a unique one. The idea behind this was about following the rituals. If you look at the first piercing which happens to the girl is the time when she is born, and probably she doesn't have an idea that her ears are getting pierced. Second piercing is basically her first step to her own, taking towards her own decision. And this decision or the transformation journey what the girl go through, we are looking all those changes through my dad point of view. As a parent, we need to be supportive, protective at the same time and encourage them to explore what possibilities they have. This emotion or this love is so natural to this relationship, and what could better represent than a natural diamond? So that's where natural diamond fits very well in representing this emotion of between a dad and a daughter.
Others see a teenage tantrum. I see you standing your ground. The world sees stubbornness. I see a soft heart. I see you, my daughter, 16 and already owning your story. And I couldn't be more proud. For you, only natural diamonds.
ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಯೋಚಿಸಬೇಡಿ. ಪ್ರತಿ ತಿಂಗಳು ನಾನು ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೂಡಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆ ದುಡ್ಡಿಂದ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ ಕನಸನ್ನ ಈಡೇರಿಸಬಹುದು.
ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕನಸುಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಾಕಾರ.
Operation Sindoor was unleashed, launched a precision military response targeting terror camps deep inside Pakistan.
This has to be now a all-out war against Pakistan's proxy war.
Things are heating up everywhere. Rawalpindi has also been hit.
Pakistan seems to be out of options right now.
Terror shall not go unanswered. The Operation Sindoor is still on.
Welcome back. Now, after Pakistan terrorists killed 26 innocent citizens in Pahalgam on April 22nd, tensions escalated and India responded to Pakistan. A cessation of hostilities was reached when Pakistan DGMO reached out to the Indian counterpart on the 10th of May while the Indo-Pak border was hot, asking for a ceasefire. Internally, NIA swung into action, launched a series of anti-espionage operations. This has now led to busting a spy ring. One of the ring was being run from Pakistan High Commission allegedly. Jyoti Malhotra, a travel vlogger with over 3 lakh subscribers, was arrested in Hisar. In fact, she was arrested for her alleged links with a Pakistani officer, Ehsanur Rahman alias Danish, based in Delhi. She was arrested along with 5 others who also allegedly shared information with Pakistani agents in exchange for money, we hear. Now, these are allegations that are being probed intensely. So, along with Jyoti Malhotra, the YouTuber, Devendra Singh Dhillon, a postgraduate student, Arman from Haryana, Noman Elahi from Kairana, also Ghazala and Yamin Mohammed, Palak Sher Masih and Suraj Masih, all from Punjab, rounded off. All were sharing allegedly information related to the Indian Army and other military bases with Pakistan. All were sharing information that was classified, and one wouldn't expect for Indian citizens to be doing this at a time of a scenario which could have led to a full-blown war. Thankfully, didn't. India's Operation Sindoor was successful, but these were people who were rounded up by the security agencies looking at their and tracking their movement for the week when the conflict began with Pakistan. Now, in another arrest in the series of busts was Shahbaz, a smuggler from Rampur, who had travelled to Pakistan multiple times, who involved in illegal cross-border trade of cosmetics, clothes, spices and other goods. Now, apparently, some like Jyoti Malhotra, just like what Jyoti Malhotra did, he was also cultivating an asset and travelled extensively across Pakistan. In fact, also travelled to Bhutan, Indonesia, China. This particularly the lady here, who Jyoti Malhotra, seemed to have moved across Pakistan. She's travelled many areas of Pakistan and has been a real good PR, I could say, for Pakistan as she went about speaking highly of the country. Now, preliminary findings at this point established that the accused were in direct contact with ISI handlers and had transmitted critical information on Operation Sindoor, including troop movements and key strategic locations in Punjab, Himachal and Jammu and Kashmir. Danish was asked leave by the government of India. In fact, he was sent out post the conflict. None of the people arrested are any young. They knew exactly what they were doing. According to the initial reports here, there's ample evidence to show their willingness to help any enemy country while India was almost at war. Now, let me bring in our specialist here to give us a little more. Spying on the enemy is not new, but how much help has Web made or given to these people here? Has it made it a lot more easier for them to actually go against the country and share information that's classified, important at this point? One thing's for sure, that any citizen in the country today knows very well not to do this. So what really happened? Yashovardhan Azad, former Special Director, Intelligence Bureau, joining us. We also have Kanish Gaur, Technology and Policy Expert. Also Savio Rodriguez, Founder, Editor-in-Chief, Goa Chronicle. Thank you very much, all of you. At my first question, Yashovardhan Azad, sir, give us your take on the number of arrests that have happened. In fact, they claim, the officers, security agencies claim that they were spying on India for Pakistan, all Indian citizens. What do you think of this? Really, what do you make of this? Jyoti Malhotra, who was a travel vlogger, she may have had an affair with a Pakistani. These are claims, right? We do not know. These are claims, but their claims are that she was taken away she was really taken into confidence by one man, a Pakistani officer in the Pakistani embassy here, and then went on to pass on a lot of information that was not supposed to be sent out. Can you outrightly blame her? What's the crime that you can outline here?
Well, let's say that what she was doing at this particular time would be a little suspicious, because at a time when India is at war, virtually it was a 4-day war, and you're traveling frequently, you've traveled to Pahalgam, and then there is a lot of electronic evidence too, the kind of information which is, or the conversation which has transpired between the two groups reveals that the information was being sought about the military sites and that were given. As far as the blogger is concerned, she visited, Pakistan twice, and she was facilitated. Absolutely visiting all the regions, and then she visited China again. So I would still say this is an evolving operation. The operation is a good operation, but when it goes to the court ultimately, then a lot of questions will be asked, because you need some physical evidence, electronic evidence, witnesses for the kind of material which has, gone from here to there and which can constitute espionage. So yes, by cross-examination, by looking at the roles of each individually, only then the case will be made out. But, Nabila, let me tell you, it's a classical, what you call an ISI operation. Pakistani embassies, this is their wont. I mean, they will attract people, people who have acquired fame, people who have certain weaknesses, and they attract them, get them into that trap, and very, very slowly, then the information is ferreted out from this particular side without them even knowing. So let's see how the case evolves, and then we'll be able to, make an opinion.
Right. If I could bring in Savio on this. Savio, I wouldn't say that these are kids, but largely youngsters who have been arrested, and they're now outrightly being called as spies. How would you really outline the crime here? Why do you think youngsters of largely in their 30s falling prey to something like this so easy?
Well, I don't think their age has got anything to do with the allegations leveled on them. What is important to understand is the influence or the connections that they've had, and therefore they have been targeted, they have been allured, and they have been conditioned to work for the interest of Pakistan. And when you look into the world of spycraft, and something that we've written so much about in the past, spycraft primarily is about creating assets that deliver your objectives. That asset can be even a child for that matter. But these are adults. These are young adults, and these are adults that can be conditioned. These are adults that can be lured. There are many ways in the game of spycraft to get people to do your bidding for you, and that's exactly what you're seeing unfold. Now you have somebody like Jyoti who's gone to Pahalgam. She's got ability to get access to photographs over there. You had similar cases during the 26/11, where you had David Headley who came and was a reconnaissance man and did his photographs. There was a boy called Mahmoud Zillian that nobody spoke about from Maldives, who also was involved in the reconnaissance during the 26/11. So these become assets that the intelligence agencies of other countries, in this case Pakistan, use very vehemently to get to their objectives. We have right now in India, and I've said it before on channels and in my writings, we have close to 50,000 Chinese spies in India working under some garb or the other, linked to the ILD of CCP, which is the International Liaison Department, and various other intelligence agencies that are there from the rest of the world. So India is a hotbed, and in a place like Kashmir, somebody or the other is connected to some intelligence operation over there. So I don't think we should look at them as youthful people. I think it's very easy to lure people to do your bidding. Money is one aspect of it. Honey trap is another aspect of it. And the hope of getting something more than your government is giving to you is what probably lured them.
But my question still remains on whether they even know if they are spies. Yashovardhan Azad, do they even, in your view, I mean, they could very well know, but my question is, how much knowledge do they have that they could be pawns in the hands of the Pakistani intelligence? And are we really underestimating the threat by these social media influencers Because not just Jyoti Malhotra, even the other man who was arrested was a social media influencer putting out videos. They could be doing this very well in good stead and spirit. But yet again, at this point, the lines are blurred.
No, that's absolutely true. There is a thin line. I mean, in fact, Jyoti Malhotra also met a few bloggers when she visited certain areas. So they also come under the scanner. I totally agree with you. What happens is initially when you trap any particular individual, and he may be innocent, but there might be weaknesses, whether it's relating to religion, whether it's relating to money, whether it's relating to any other, the traditional statecraft, how you trap these victims. The issue is, as you rightly said, they are not innocent. They are youngsters. So if you're a youngster and you're seeing the situation, especially with a country like Pakistan, if you're doing something, say, with South Korea, you're doing something with England or friendly countries, there's no problem. But if you're going to Pakistan, you're getting, facilitated, you're being fated out there, then obviously natural suspicions will arise. Now, as I said, the hard evidence is an issue. And in the courts, you have to prove. And that's why there is a kind of a clutch of evidence which you have to get, whether it's from the electronic sources, whether it's from the physical papers, etc., etc. That will come later. But initially, I would say it is a good operation. And once it evolves, you will get more information after these various people in the conspiracy are cross-examined. And then you'll really get to know how exactly it has evolved. But for example, we know the name of the ISI operatives. I mean, we know the guys who are in their embassy. So it's very easy to find out why this particular gentleman or this lady is meeting this guy on and on again. And that's what exactly happened in this case. And when they were using these encrypted platforms, and the other thing, Nabila, also, if you're registering the names in your telephone, in your mobile, under different names, now was it a show? If you're just a blogger,
correct.
Where is the problem?
That clearly shows there's guilt. This is not innocence. You know very well there's something that you're not supposed to do, you're committing. So yeah, it's clear to me as well with the fact that she has had names, alias for actual Pakistanis saved on her phone, clearly shows there was something brewing. A quick word, Kanish Gaur, on how can we really hold technology responsible, digital platforms particularly, that really enables this kind of espionage communication. We hear that they were in touch with some of the Pakistani intelligence officials through Telegram and other digital platforms. How can you curb this threat? I mean, this is really open web. Where does it stop?
Thank you for bringing me in, and thanks to my fellow panelists to sharing their insights. See, we have new platforms which offer end-to-end encryption and do not comply to law enforcement guidelines in terms of sharing data or allowing any kind of information to be shared with government, whether it is for national security risk. That's why government introduced the significant social media intermediary guidelines in 2022, so that the government can get data from some of these platforms, and the chief legal compliance and regulatory officers were appointed, and there were 10 agencies which have been identified which could ask for this data, and within 72 hours the data has to be provided by these agencies. However, certain platforms continue not to comply to these guidelines and offer complete anonymity to users. Now, these platforms would allow users to sign up on messaging platforms even without having a mobile number. So today, if you create an anonymous email ID or you are using a particular number which does not have your KYC done correctly, you could basically start using these platforms, and it is very difficult for law enforcement agencies to track the message, to intercept it, and then you have settings which allow disappearance of the message after it's seen by the other party. So today, in the name of encryption, a lot of times national security becomes immensely impacted. And that's why globally, agencies like FBI have asked for interceptions or certain kind of backdoors to be allowed when some of these secret messaging platforms allow complete anonymity. So I think it's high time that government also has these guidelines not only created but enforced on ground, and these guidelines to be used in case we want to track some of the kind of activity which is happening, and also be allowed to be admissible in court, because a lot of times the messaging, the encryption is set up in a way that the disappearance of message happens, and a lot of times the data which is collected in digital format is not admissible in the court.
All right. A quick word from Yashovardhan Azad. Sir, your take finally on how does one really be more vigil, to put out information on social media platforms, vloggers reporting by the minute on areas you are at, places you've seen, these kind of videos that are constantly released, exposing India, its infrastructure, and its real detail, how easily you have the enemy nation really making use of it. What would be your word of advice to those vloggers who may be doing it without knowing what they're into?
Yes. No, I would certainly advise them to be extremely careful in releasing any data about India which is sensitive. Maps or there are so many things, airports, vital installations. These are areas about which you should never give out any information. Remember, we were talking about encryption and cyber security. One of the best ways to sort of bring down a nation on its knees is through cyber attacks. Now, one has to be very, very careful to keep all your computers secure. You have to keep your vital installations secure. And therefore, one should not be very loose about conversing or throwing away anything in the social media which can be seen by the international observers. So that is one thing I would certainly advise.
All right. A quick word, Savio, should in fact India now rethink its counterintelligence approach? Influencers, bloggers now putting out information on platforms, how easy is it to be misused? Your final take.
Well, I think any kind of information, whether it's coming out from us or whether it's coming out from enemy nations like Pakistan, is going to be used to the advantage of the person tracking that particular information. So in the world of spycraft, remember one thing, is that any information that provides an advantage to an enemy nation is going to be tracked, is going to be utilized for that advantage. We've seen in the past in 2611 where there were certain media professionals that were responsible in actually giving out information on live TV, and that is what the terrorists were quoting about, that we know this from that particular news channel and that particular journalist. So we got to be careful. What is important at the end of the day is understanding that we're in a state of war. We might have Operation Sindoor is still not completely over. We still are dealing with terrorism. And therefore, our youth need to be a little careful when you're working or you're associating with people from enemy nations, because information is privy to them. How they use you, how they misuse you is something that you don't know. You don't understand spycraft. You might be gullible. For all you know, all of these people were gullible. But they eventually ended up doing something that benefited the enemy nation. And therefore, we need to be careful with the people we associate with. There are many, many sleeper agents in India at this point of time, and I think we as Indians need to be very careful about it.
All right, we're taken. Let's just hope that they get to the bottom of this. Like Yashovardhan Azad did mention, you need a clutch of evidence to outline what the crime is, and this should be out so it sets precedence. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us and sharing your views. All right, on that note, it's me wrapping off tonight on Unmissable. We'll be right here, same time tomorrow. Have a great night.
ನಮ್ಮ ಅರ್ನಿಂಗ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ಗೂ ಹೋಲಿಕೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಇಂದಾನೇ ಸಾಧ್ಯ.
ನನ್ನ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ಸ್.
ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ಸ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕನಸಿನ ಸಾಕಾರ.
He plainly tried to internationalize the Kashmir issue.
We know as a matter of fact that it was Pakistan that ran to America US seems to disregard anything that doesn't affect it directly.
Donald Trump is trying to tell the world that I am the savior